Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to take a quick look at this ZD Toys Marvel Gamerverse Thor. Now, some of you out there may not be very familiar with ZD Toys. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe not. I don't know. They're not very well known here in the United States, but they are a company that actually does sell officially licensed Marvel products inside China. They have a Chinese license to sell this stuff, but of course, you know, today's day and age, it's pretty easy to get a hold of their stuff, even though they're not supposed to actually sell outside the country. And there's a few ways that you can do that. We'll talk about that at the end when I go over how much I paid for this thing. But I picked up this figure here because he just looked really cool. And I'm a big Thor fan, and I like to have all the different versions of Thor. And even though I'm not familiar with this Gamerverse look for Thor, I think it's one of the mobile games that they put out that I don't play any of those, that he has this specific look or this skin that you can get for Thor in that particular game, but I'm not familiar with it. I just thought he looked really, really cool, so I wanted to pick him up. Now, I've got some other ZD Toys stuff, so I'm familiar with them, at least a little bit. I got a handful of them. I do like them. You do have to understand, though, that these are 7-inch scale figures, so like for a lot of things, if you, like me, are a 6-inch scale collector, not everything that they put out is going to work with your collection. However, larger characters, much like with, you know, Marvel Select and things like that, larger characters tend to work well into a 6-inch scale collection. And Thor is certainly one of those characters that I don't mind him being a larger figure, especially as we'll see in this video. He's really not any bigger than Marvel Legends is making their Thor figures at this point, so not really much of a big deal there. Now, we'll go deep dive into the figure here in a minute, but I do want to show you the accessories that this guy comes with. So he does come with a couple of open hands there, and then he does come with a couple of gripping hands here. He also does come with a nice little stand there. He comes in that box back there, which, by the way, the boxes for ZD Toys are really cool because they're great collector's boxes because they come in this box and they got magnets on the side that hold the box open like that. Now, normally there's an insert in there that holds the figure and the accessories. I already took that out, but it's actually got magnets here that snap closed, and it's a really nice collector's box if you want to hang on to those. They're really, really cool. And then, of course, he does come with his own little Gamerverse version of Mjolnir, which is a really, really crazy looking hammer that you have there. We've got these two like dragon heads on it with like fire in their mouth. Really nicely done. Never seen a Mjolnir like this before, but that's what he has there. So let's look at the figure itself, and first off, we're going to take his cloak off here because it just pops right off. It just fits and is molded perfectly to go over the shoulders, but we can see the cape there, and we've got kind of this not very realistic looking, but almost kind of anime style fur. We've got lots of nice detail on there, lots of gold. We've got some nice painted detail there all over the cape, and it just fits perfectly on his shoulders without having to have any kind of peg or anything. But then we get to the figure itself, and just the overall look of him is pretty damn cool. Lots of great paintwork on there, lots of great sculpting. I mean, everything. Look at the belt. We've got these pieces hanging off there. I don't know what those are called. We've got the kind of a big centerpiece, almost kind of looks like a skull there on the center. We've got skulls on the arm bracers. The gloves look great. Head sculpt looks really good. We got the big wings there coming off. He's got the beard, the hair, everything. It looks really, really nice. And again, I am familiar with these ZD Toys, and they have a certain aesthetic look to them for the most part, and I really like the way they look. And we've got, instead of him having those kind of pauldrons or whatever they are on his suit, he's actually got them on his skin right there, almost like they're burned into the flesh, and they've got kind of a fiery look to them with some red highlights and stuff. Looks really, really cool. Now, as far as the articulation goes, we do have double jointed arms, although because of his bracers here, they only come up that far. We've got the bicep swivels and thigh swivels and double jointed knees. He does have ball peg wrists and ankles, but the thing about it is they work much better than they do on a lot of other figures. Usually I'm not a fan of just ball joint ankles like this. Like, I don't like it when McFarlane does that, but on these it works really, really well. Not just this figure, but the other ZD Toys figures that I have. So lots of good articulation there. Now, he doesn't have any waist swivel. The crotch and the lower waist piece, or the lower torso piece, is all one piece, but he has this joint right there, which actually kind of extends. You can kind of pop it up to get more articulation. Of course, it looks goofy when you do that, but it gives him more articulation for bending over and going back, and then he can swivel and kind of tilt off to one side and tilt over to the other. So you've got that movement right there. And then one thing that I really like about this that I wish some other companies would actually incorporate into their figures, which is instead of having like, you know, a butterfly joint here like Marvel Legends does, or that kind of ring that goes around the way McFarlane does for the shoulders there, because it is on a ball joint, you can actually pop the shoulder out just a little bit. It's got a little bit of a peg that has two positions, and the second position, when you pop it out, gives some back and forth there, just like a butterfly joint, but you don't have an extra piece of plastic in there, whether it's the McFarlane style ring or the Marvel Legends style butterfly joint. If you want to get, you know, more movement out of the arm, you just kind of pop it out a peg like that, and then you get more movement out of the arm. It's a really cool little way to kind of do the same thing that the butterfly joints do, but without having it really break up the sculpt quite as much. I really like that they did that. But look, this is a really good looking figure, man. Like, I dig this dude a lot. The articulation's really good, with the exception of the elbows because of those, you know, those bracers he has on his arm. The sculpt is fantastic. The paint is fantastic. It's a really cool look for Thor, and I'm really digging this guy. But let's go ahead and throw him up with some other figures and see how this dude stacks up. All right, so here we have him with just a legion of Thor figures, and of course these are all Marvel Legends. And first thing you notice right off the bat is he's not too big to be a Thor figure in a 6-inch scale collection. I mean, he's right in line with all the other Thor figures. They all kind of vary a little bit, but of course we got the 20th anniversary or 80th anniversary Thor. We got Beta Ray Bill. These two, I always forget which one's which. One of them is the Odin Build-A-Figure wave, and the other one's not, and I don't remember what that one's from, but they're both very similar, play off each other there. But you can see size-wise, like, this dude fits perfectly in with other Thor figures you're going to have. And then just to show you a couple more ZD Toys figures that I've got two of my favorites here. So we've got the Mark 6 Iron Man armor from Iron Man 2, and then of course we've got the War Machine Iron Man armor. These are my two go-tos. That is my go-to War Machine Iron Man, and this is my go-to MCU Iron Man right here as well. And while they are technically 7-inch scale, they actually fit well because they look like a, you know, 6-foot dude in a suit. He would be quite a bit bigger than 6 feet. And I think they work really well. ZD Toys makes good stuff. And while, again, with there being, you know, that 7-inch scale thing going on, they don't work with every character, but there are some characters like Iron Man, like Thor, that I think ZD Toys really works with. All right, so let's talk about price here real quick. I picked this guy up for 35 bucks. Now, these guys sell on Amazon, eBay, and AliExpress are the three places that are the easiest to get these from. Either way that you go on that, you're probably looking at least 2 weeks shipping time because these things are coming from China. But they're really nice, and for an average price of about 35 bucks, which puts them basically right around the same price as like a Marvel Select figure or a NECA figure or something like that, man, I think it's totally worth it because they are really nice figures. Again, you want to be careful with what characters you get. You don't want to mix these guys in just, you know, with whatever figure to a 6-inch collection because they're not going to look right. But with certain characters, Thor, Iron Man, characters like that are supposed to be taller than your average human, I think they work really well. And when you look at this figure and you look at the sculpt and the detail and the paint and everything on here, I think it's totally worth the price. I think it's worth the same price as a Marvel Select or a NECA figure, hands down. I absolutely love this figure. I think it's worth the price, and I'm very happy to have this dude in my collection, 100%. And I think if you're a big enough Thor fan, this is something you're going to love having too, because it's a very cool look for Thor. Very unique. No other figure, no other company is doing a figure like this. And while, look, it may not be everybody's favorite look for Thor, it's still pretty damn badass. You gotta admit, he looks pretty damn cool. So that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate you watching as always, and always remember to enjoy your collection.